Have you ever stopped to think whether the food on your plate is helping to save the planet or destroy it? Is it possible to produce food without poisoning the soil, drying up rivers, and driving families off their land? As the world searches for urgent solutions to environmental and social crises, the way we grow our food is at the center of the conversation. But in the end, can farming and sustainability truly go hand in hand? Or are we stuck in an agricultural model that only seems to work at the cost of life and the future? The answer might surprise you, and that's exactly what you're about to discover in this video. Watch until the end to understand why the agriculture of the future has already begun, and how you are also part of this transformation. Farming is the practice of cultivating the land and raising animals to produce food, fibers, and other essential resources for human survival. This activity encompasses two main areas: agriculture, which involves growing crops such as grains, vegetables, and fruits, and livestock farming, which involves raising animals such as cattle, poultry, pigs, and sheep. Together, these practices have formed the foundation of human societies from ancient times to the present day. Throughout history, farming has been essential to the development of civilizations, population growth, and the establishment of communities. More than just a means of producing food, farming also drives the economy, creates jobs, strengthens trade, and contributes to food security. Additionally, it provides raw materials for various industrial sectors, such as textiles, pharmaceuticals, and biofuels. But farming is not only about production. It also involves the management of vital natural resources, such as soil, water, and biodiversity. The way farming is conducted has a direct impact on ecosystems, the climate, and the planet's ability to sustain life. That's why understanding what farming is becomes essential when we talk about farming and sustainability, a topic that is increasingly relevant in light of today's environmental and social challenges. Sustainability, in turn, is a concept that represents the pursuit of balance between human needs and the preservation of the planet's natural, social, and economic resources. At its core, being sustainable means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. It's a mindset and a way of acting that considers not only immediate benefits, but also the long-term consequences of our choices. Sustainability stands on three fundamental pillars. Environmental refers to the preservation and responsible use of natural resources such as water, soil, forests, and biodiversity. This includes actions like reducing pollution, conserving ecosystems, and mitigating climate change. In the context of farming and sustainability, this pillar is essential to ensure that agricultural activities do not deplete the soil, contaminate water sources, or destroy natural habitats. Social is related to promoting equity, social justice, and quality of life for all people. It involves respect for human rights, strengthening of local communities, dignified working conditions, and equal access to resources and opportunities. A sustainable farming system must value the work of farmers, respect traditional peoples, and ensure healthy food for everyone. Economic deals with the financial viability of human activities. Being economically sustainable means ensuring that production systems are profitable and resilient without relying on predatory or unsustainable practices. In agriculture, this implies producing efficiently, but without compromising natural resources or exploiting labor. True sustainability only exists when these three pillars work in an integrated way. Instead of prioritizing only profit, as often happens in the conventional model, sustainability proposes a new perspective on progress, one that includes nature and people as essential parts of the system. Therefore, understanding sustainability is key to finding balanced and lasting solutions, especially when we talk about farming and sustainability, where the challenges are great, but the opportunities for transformation are even greater. So now, if we stop to think, can farming and sustainability walk together? The answer is yes. Farming and sustainability can and must walk together. Although conventional agriculture has often strayed from sustainable principles, There are increasingly viable and effective ways to produce food while respecting the planet's limits. The key lies in rethinking farming methods, integrating ecological knowledge into agricultural practices, and placing land regeneration at the core of the production system. Agriculture doesn't have to be, by definition, destructive. On the contrary, it can be a positive force to restore degraded soils, increase biodiversity, protect water resources, and even capture carbon from the atmosphere. This is possible through practices that observe natural cycles, respect soil life, avoid excessive use of chemical inputs, and promote biological and cultural diversity. There are several farming models that already demonstrate this possibility in practice. These are types of agriculture that prioritize ecosystem health, value local communities, and produce healthy, accessible food. These models show that large-scale food production can coexist with environmental conservation, as long as there is intentionality, planning, and technical knowledge. Moreover, modern technologies, combined with traditional wisdom, have accelerated the transition toward more sustainable systems. Climate monitoring, integrated management, biofertilizers, biological pest control, and agroforestry systems are just a few strategies that make it possible to integrate productivity with environmental responsibility. Therefore, yes, farming and sustainability are not opposing ideas. They can complement each other perfectly. And in the face of today's climate and social challenges, it is urgent that they move forward together. The agriculture of the future will be sustainable, or it won't exist. And that future is already being built by thousands of farmers, researchers, and communities around the world. But what about conventional agriculture, which is widely practiced? Is it sustainable? Although it has been responsible for a significant increase in food production throughout the 20th century, conventional agriculture is increasingly being questioned for its negative impacts on the environment, human health, and rural communities. When we examine the principles of farming and sustainability, it becomes clear that conventional farming methods severely violate the environmental, social, and economic pillars of sustainability. One of the main problems of conventional agriculture is the excessive use of pesticides and synthetic fertilizers. These chemicals are applied to control pests and boost productivity, but end up contaminating the soil, groundwater, rivers, and air. In addition to harming local ecosystems, this contamination affects the health of farmers, consumers, and people living near farmland. Soil degradation is another serious consequence. Practices such as excessive tilling, deforestation, and the absence of ground cover lead to erosion, compaction, and loss of organic matter. Over time, the soil loses its natural fertility, forcing farmers to rely even more heavily on chemical inputs. This vicious cycle puts future production capacity at risk and breaks with the environmental principle of sustainability. Finally, it's important to highlight the social impact of conventional agriculture. Land concentration, intensive mechanization, and a profit-driven mindset often marginalize small farmers, weaken rural communities, and reduce cultural diversity in the countryside. This violates the social pillar of sustainability, which promotes justice, inclusion, and collective well-being. Although conventional agriculture was developed with the goal of increasing food production, its practices move in the opposite direction of what farming and sustainability propose. To ensure a sustainable future, it is essential to rethink this model and adopt approaches that respect the planet's limits and value the people involved in food production. So, what practices could be adopted to make farming more sustainable? To successfully align farming and sustainability, we must adopt agricultural practices that promote ecosystem health, efficient use of natural resources, and the production of healthy and economically viable food. Fortunately, there are several techniques already widely used by farmers around the world that show how farming can be done in a more balanced, regenerative, and conscious way. Below, we list and explain some of the main practices that make farming more sustainable. Crop rotation. Crop rotation involves alternating different types of plants in the same area over time. For example, instead of planting corn every year in the same plot, a farmer might alternate between corn, legumes, and vegetables. This practice helps break pest and disease cycles, prevents soil exhaustion, improves natural fertility, and reduces the need for chemical fertilizers. Additionally, crops like beans, lentils, and peas can fix nitrogen in the soil, enriching it naturally. Diverse planting. Unlike monocultures, diversified planting promotes agricultural biodiversity and makes farming systems more resilient. Diversity can occur in intercropping, growing multiple species together at the same time, or in rotational systems. This practice increases the total productivity of the area, supports ecological balance, attracts natural pest predators, and contributes to a more varied and nutritious diet. It is one of the pillars of the transition to systems more aligned with the principles of farming and sustainability. Rational water use. Water is a vital resource for farming, and its conscious use is essential for sustainability. Techniques such as drip irrigation, reuse of gray water, and rainwater harvesting help reduce waste and ensure water availability even during dry periods. Additionally, proper soil and vegetation cover management improves water infiltration and reduces evaporation, promoting the efficient use of this precious resource. Soil conservation. Soil is the foundation of any farming system, and its protection is key to sustainable production. Two highly effective practices in this regard are mulching and no-till farming. Mulching involves covering the soil with organic materials such as straw, dry leaves, or crop residues. This helps retain moisture, prevent erosion, suppress weeds, and feed soil microorganisms. No-till farming avoids soil disturbance, preserving its natural structure, preventing erosion, and keeping underground life active. When combined with crop rotation and ground cover, it is one of the most efficient practices for regenerating degraded soils. Organic fertilization. Instead of relying on synthetic fertilizers, organic fertilization uses natural inputs like manure, compost, worm humus, bone meal, and biofertilizers. These inputs improve long-term soil fertility, support microbial life, and increase the soil's ability to retain water and nutrients. They also promote more balanced plant growth and strengthen natural resistance. Natural pest control. Pest and disease management can also be done sustainably using natural products such as plant-based sprays, neem, garlic, pepper, traps, biological control with natural predators, and fermented plant extracts. These methods are less harmful to the environment, leave no toxic residues in food, and help maintain the ecological balance of the crops. These practices clearly show that it is entirely possible to align productivity with environmental responsibility. More than just isolated techniques, they represent a mindset shift that views nature as an ally, not an obstacle. By incorporating these approaches into everyday farming, we move steadily toward a truly viable, regenerative, and just model of farming and sustainability. And more broadly, there are already different types of farming that are sustainable. When we talk about farming and sustainability, it's important to understand that it's not just about adopting isolated practices, but rather rethinking the entire agricultural system, its principles, its relationship with the environment, and its social function. In this sense, around the world, several farming models already demonstrate that it is possible to produce food in a sustainable, regenerative way that aligns with nature cycles. For example, organic agriculture, which avoids the use of pesticides, chemical fertilizers, and genetically modified organisms, focusing instead on natural practices for soil, pest, and disease management. Agroforestry, a farming system that integrates trees, shrubs, crops, and sometimes animals, forming a productive and biodiverse environment that mimics the logic of natural forests. Regenerative agriculture, which seeks to restore degraded agricultural ecosystems, continuously improving the health of soil, water, and biodiversity. Permaculture, which is more than an agricultural method. It's a sustainable design system that aims to create human settlements integrated with nature cycles. Each of these systems offers unique paths for promoting the integration of farming and sustainability, respecting the diversity of biomes, cultures, social realities, and productive goals. More than choosing a specific model, the essential point is to understand the principles behind these approaches: respect for life, regeneration of natural resources, and social justice, and apply them according to the needs and possibilities of each territory. Throughout this text, we've seen that farming and sustainability are not opposing ideas. They can and must go hand in hand to ensure a future with healthy food, fertile soil, clean water, and thriving rural communities. Yes, the conventional model still dominates much of global food production, but sustainable paths already exist, are being implemented, and are growing every year. From small farmers to large agroforestry projects, from urban gardens to regenerative agriculture, what's at stake is not just what we plant, but how and why we cultivate the land. And remember the question we asked at the very beginning? Yes, it is possible to feed the world and take care of the planet at the same time. But this will only become a reality if more people, like you, seek out, learn about, and support these new paths. The future of agriculture is in our hands, and it can be abundant, fair, and sustainable. Up next, I'll leave you with a video about the different types of sustainable agriculture. See you soon. Let's move towards a bountiful earth.